Alright, this is the predictions video for OCE, and I promise this is not going to be as big of a disaster as my SIM video I did. If you guys don't remember, I remember when I did my SIM video predictions, I was looking at the wrong tab the whole time like a dumbass. And yeah, that turned out very well. But yeah, basically, let's go over what happened in OCE. Let's get the general gist of what's going on. We're going to basically go over, for those of you who don't know, because I know there's a lot who don't know, just who are the best teams, who's good, who to look out for, and then quick bracket predictions. So, and obviously if you guys do enjoy, why not hit the subscribe button? You guys have been showing a lot of support on these videos lately, and it's been awesome, so thank you. So if we want to look back at who's good in this OCE lineup and these OCE teams, let's go to their league play. Well, I guess first off, I'll show you all 8 teams that made it. Here's all the teams. And OCE works a tiny bit different than North America and Europe do. As you can see right here, there's still only 8 teams in OCE. Unlike North America and Europe, who have 10 teams, there's only 8. So Ground Zero Gaming, Mind Freak, Fury, and Cringe Society all made it to their regional championships, which means that since there's only 4 teams in their finals, their regional championships, it doesn't matter what your placement is, doesn't matter if you lose 2 in a row, you automatically qualify for the spring series because top 4. So it was pretty close. There's a lot of pretty close teams. There's obviously a difference between the top and the bottom, like Canberra, Havok, and Overt only went 1-6, while the teams at the top were, the top 5 all had 5 wins or 4 wins. So a lot of very close talent in this OCE lineups and these OCE rosters. Ground Zero Gaming obviously barely taking that first place spot, followed by Mind Freak and Fury, who all had 5 wins. And then as you guys know, there was the whole Team Esper situation, which pushed Cringe Society to that number 4 spot and knocked Renegades out. So before going into any of this, I want to help you guys to remember that Renegades might have had a spot actually in the top 4 and made it to not only their finals, but auto-qualified for Spring Series, because remember, Renegades did have that 4th spot before the Team Esper situation, which if you guys don't remember, Team Esper threw a match. 2 of their players got competitive bans for a year, and it kind of messed up the seeding because they just threw. You know, if they had won their last match, which they threw, Renegades would have been number 4 and not Cringe Society. So I do want to point out that Renegades, even though they're number 5, the standings are a little bit skewed towards because of the team that threw, so we don't really know. For all we know, Renegades could have gotten 4th, and then they could have made a run, and they might have been able to get top 3 or top 2 in OCE. Because as we can see right here from the finals bracket, it was actually Mind Freak who lost 2 in a row, and they were the 2nd seed going into this final. So we don't know, because like I showed you earlier, Renegades did qualify for Spring Series. So in my eyes, they're kind of a wild card. We don't know how they're going to play. Mind Freak, obviously, maybe a little inconsistency because they really didn't show up in their OCE finals. They lost 2 in a row, even got swept 4-0 by Cringe Society, the 4th seed. But it really goes to show how close a lot of these teams are. And the one team that really showed up that we know is really good is Ground Zero Gaming. They got 1st place in league play, and they got 1st place in their finals, and they go into Spring Series as the number 1 seed, and they really dominated their finals bracket. Out of the 14 games that they played, they only lost 2, and that was in the semifinals to Cringe Society. So obviously those are the top 4 in OCE, and you kind of get an idea for who's the best out of them. But now, like I said, there's Renegades, and then let's go on to Canberra Havok. Canberra Havok, as you guys remember, they were actually at the World Championships. Now, this is their World Championship roster. This is not their current roster. I'll put that up on screen. As you guys can see, basically the only similarities between this team now is Leduc. And obviously, it probably wasn't the right roster moves to make. Because if we look at OCE's league play, Canberra Havok got 8th place. Remember, Canberra Havok had Wildcard and Tango on their team, who probably didn't mesh well. Now they're kind of a completely different team, and again, Leduc is still the only one who's on this team. And some history about Steve. Steve was the guy who was on Team Esper. Remember, Team Esper being that team that threw, but only Delusion and Frenzy were punished because it was ruled that Steve was not in violation of the rules and did not throw. So he ended up moving to Canberra Havok, and Canberra Havok actually qualified for the Spring Series. So Canberra Havok, a team that a lot of people are going to recognize from the World Championships, are back in here. And then there's two other teams, Champions Club and then the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And now as you can see, Wildcard, he joined the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just basically two new rosters. I really don't know how they're going to perform. There's no stats to go off of these guys. And then the very last thing I wanted to talk about was that, remember, Spidoge used to be on Cringe Society. They replaced him with, I believe it was Deca. Yeah, they replaced him with Deca, and then Spidoge went to Ground Zero Gaming. So it's going to be it's going to be very interesting to see, is Ground Zero Gaming now an even better, more dominant team than they were before? And how is Cringe Society going to mesh well with this new player? But yeah, let's get into this bracket. So as we could see, Ground Zero are going to be going up against Champions Club, Mind Freak Renegades, Fury, the Good, the Bad, Cringe, and Canberra Havok. And there are a couple things that I want to point out. For if we're going over the quarterfinals, I think Ground Zero, I mean, they win this. Not gonna be any problem from them. We've seen lots of consistency. They are definitely the best team in OCE right now, so they're gonna take that semifinal spot. Then Mind Freak and Renegades. This is a matchup that is going to be hard to predict, because like we saw in their finals, Mind Freak did not perform. In fact, they came out not looking so hot. Mind Freak consisting of Ghost, Requiem, and Fever. But Renegades, as we all know, they kind of got cheated out of their final spot, and we don't know how they would have performed. They very well could have made it, and because Mind Freak wasn't playing so well, Renegades probably would have had a chance at least of beating them. So I think it really depends if Mind Freak comes out swinging or not in this quarterfinals. But I do think that regardless, it's going to be a good match. But I'm going to give it, I think it will be a 3-2 in favor of Mind Freak. They did show that they were the better team over the course of league play, but if you remember Reciprocity, who just tanked out, and remember the Sonics, who just tanked out. I'm hoping we don't see this similar thing going on with Mind Freak. But then we got into Fury versus the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and again, it's very hard to talk about this Good, the Bad, and the Ugly roster because I haven't seen really anything from these new guys. These guys who kind of just came in. You know, they picked up Wildcard, who was previously on Canberra Havok, and it looks like they were doing pretty well for themselves. But will it be enough? The real question is, will it be enough to take on Fury, who, I mean, they got second place in OCE. They are the second best team. It's going to be really hard for me to see this new roster going up against these guys who have proven themselves in the OCE scene. Now, there always is a chance, especially in OCE and SAM. I talk about this in my previous videos. These regions are a lot of times roster mania. They're always changing, and they'll develop a team who ends up becoming like a super team, and that's what they like to go for. Now, I don't know if this is going to be that super team. I actually don't think so. I doubt it. Because it's OCE, you never know. But I'm going to give this a 3-1 in Fury's favor. I just really can't see Fury, a team who is proven in the region, to not at least put up a big fight during this match. So I think they're going to win that. And then we have Canberra Havok versus Cringe Society, which is another really tough one, because yes, Cringe Society was better than them in league play, but they are obviously a new team. They got last in league play, but then qualified for the spring series, so we don't know what's going to happen with this roster. And you know what, because I want to spice it up a little bit, I'm going to give it to Canberra Havok, right? This team showed up at Worlds. They still got Le Duc, an experienced player. I think they take it over Cringe Society 3-2. So it'll be Canberra versus Fury, and then it would be Mind Freak versus Ground Zero. And now, let's get on to Ground Zero versus Mind Freak in the semifinals. Ground Zero beat them 3-1 in league play, and when going into the finals, or their regional championships, it doesn't look like Mind Freak would have had any chance against Ground Zero, because they obviously weren't playing too well at all. I think that Ground Zero truly is just a better team. I'm going to have to give this a 3-1 in favor of Ground Zero. Just a lot more consistency coming out from them. And then we'll go on to Fury versus Canberra Havok. And this is where I don't think Canberra Havok will have a chance to beat Fury. Again, a team that has proven themselves, a team that we've seen, they've looked real good. Just not versus Ground Zero Gaming. If we're looking at the regional championship bracket, Ground Zero Gaming's really the only team that had their number. And I mean, 2 sweeps. Ground Zero with 2 sweeps against Fury, which is just really big. At the end of the day, I think Fury take this, and it'll be Ground Zero Gaming versus Fury in the winners finals. And now I'll go through losers finals real quick. Round 1, it would be Champions Club versus Renegades, and then, I think Renegades take this. Renegades, we've seen them at the World Championships. Renegades, they're just more experienced. I think they're going to be Champions Club. They're going to be out. Then we're going to go on to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly versus Cringe Society. Again, same thing. Cringe Society just looking like the better team. Got top 4 in their regionals. Actually, they got 3rd place. Looking pretty good. And it's just really hard because we don't know how this new team is going to perform at the top level. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Obviously, they were good enough to make it to Spring Series, but I don't think they'll be taking on Cringe. I don't think that they're going to pull a rogue and start destroying some of these top level teams. So then the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly are out, and then it'll be a Mind Freak versus Renegades in losers round 2, as well as Canberra Havok versus Cringe Society in the other losers round 2. And let's just do Canberra Havok versus Cringe Society. I'll make this quick. I think Cringe Society take this again, but I think it'll be close. I think this is going to be a 3-2 in favor of Cringe. Canberra obviously got a roster change. They're looking a lot better now, but Cringe Society, again, a top team in OCE, probably going to take this. Alright, and then we get on to Mind Freak versus Renegades again. Now, unfortunately, I don't think this is going to go any other way. I think that if Mind Freak are on, if they were on in that day, they're going to continue to be on. Now, I don't think this is going to go any other way. I think that if they were on in the quarterfinals and they were able to take down Renegades, losing to Ground Zero Gaming I don't think really means anything, because I think Ground Zero is the best in OCE right now, but I think that they'll be able to take on Renegades again and win. So I'm going to have to give the losers round 2 to Mind Freak. So Mind Freak will move on to losers round 3 to play against Cringe Society. And let's do losers round 3 before the winners finals. So Mind Freak versus Cringe. And unfortunately, I think that Cringe is going to take this over Mind Freak. Mind Freak, it's going to be a new day. Last time we saw these two play, Cringe actually swept them. And, it could come down to two things. You could say Cringe either has their number or Mind Freak was just off on the day. I think it was a bit of both. I think Mind Freak was definitely off on the day, and that they do have a chance of taking this against Cringe, but they're going to need to be on. But after looking at these last results, it's going to be hard not to give it to Cringe Society after their performance against this team. So I think Cringe is going to make it to that losers finals. And then the winners finals is going to be Ground Zero Gaming versus Fury. Again, what more is there to say about this matchup? Ground Zero Gaming, undisputed, best team in OCE right now. They, even in the regional championships, Fury, they swept them twice in a row. And to be completely honest, I'm not even really expecting Fury to put up that much of a fight, because if you look at their league play against each other, Ground Zero Gaming swept Fury again. Fury has not taken one single game off of Ground Zero this entire RLCS Season 9. It was a 3-0 in league play and 2 4-0s in the regionals. Alright, Ground Zero has Fury's number. Completely. In fact, I'm going to give this a sweep as well. Fury hasn't taken a single game yet. I'm not expecting it to be a sweep, but I'm going to give it to Ground Zero 4-0. They've shown Fury doesn't stand a chance against them. They don't. And I think Ground Zero easily moves on to the grand finals with that 1-game advantage. And then we'll go on down to Fury versus Cringe Society. And now Fury and Cringe Society, these are two very close teams. Fury got 3rd place in league play while Cringe got 4th. Cringe got 3rd place in the finals while Fury got 2nd. These teams are very close to each other. Fury has always looked like they've been a little bit better, but remember last time Fury played Cringe Society in the finals, in their regional finals, Fury beat them 4-2. But if we go even further back to their league play performance, Cringe Society beat Fury 3-0, a complete sweep over them. So, like I said, these two teams, very good. They have each other's number at different times, but it will be a good matchup. But you know what? I'm going to give this one to Cringe Society. I think this one could go either way. It could obviously easily go either way. But I think that if Fury wins, the grand finals won't be entertaining. I think it'll be another sweep. So I kind of want Cringe Society to win. So we're going to go with them. And then we got Ground Zero Gaming versus Cringe Society in the grand finals. The last 2 times these teams have matched up, Ground Zero Gaming won 4-2 in regionals and then 3-2 in league play. So it's hard to see Cringe Society taking this. Now remember, I did mention that Ground Zero Gaming took Spidoge from Cringe Society, and Cringe Society now have Deca. So it is going to be interesting to see how these two teams match up now, considering that they have one roster change in Ground Zero Gaming. Are they going to be as dominant as they always have been over this Cringe Society team, or does Cringe Society find this new team chemistry and will they take it over Ground Zero Gaming? See, those are the questions that we have to ask. But I am going to say, because Ground Zero was the better team, Ground Zero obviously making that roster change that they think is going to be better for them. I think Ground Zero is looking to be in the better position right now. So I think that they do take Cringe Society. I'll make it close. I'll think it's going to be close. I'll say 4-3. Well, but you got to remember Ground Zero come out with a 1-game advantage. So you know what? I'm going to give it 4-2. It'll still be close games, but because of that 1-game advantage, it'll look a little less close on paper. But I think Ground Zero take this whole thing. And I don't think many people would disagree, especially because of just how good they've looked. I have ranted for a while, but that is your basic overview. I mean, a little more in depth than basic, I guess, but your basic overview of OCE, what to look out for, because I know a lot of you guys are going to be watching that, and a lot of you guys kind of want to know who's going to be good, what have these matchups looked like in the past. And yeah, I'd like to thank you guys all for watching. Obviously, hit subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.